Things haven't been going so well for the Banks family. Michael's wife, Kate, has passed away, causing his three children, Jonathan, Annabelle, and Georgie, to have to grow up faster than expected. On top of that, Michael has recently defaulted on a loan from his father's old bank. However, if Michael can somehow produce the certificate of shares that prove that his father invested in the bank and was part owner, it would be enough to cover the defaulted loan. On top of all of this, Mary Poppins returns to help raise the Banks children in more ways than one. Guiding her is Jack, played by Lin-Manuel Miranda, a lightkeeper who used to be a chimney sweep employed by Bert, Dick Van Dyke's main character from the previous Mary Poppins film. So with that, here is Mary Poppins Returns. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I will say this, if you love Mary Poppins, if you grew up loving Mary Poppins, it's going to push all of those same buttons. They don't really miss a beat. Emily Blunt is a spot-on double for Julie Andrews. You got, the kids are, for the most part, pretty good. You get the idea, again, that because they have been forced to take on some responsibilities, that they're not as kid-friendly as they were, or kid-friendly, that's maybe not the best term. They're not as childish as they once were, well, except for Georgie. He's very flighty and sort of runs off a lot. But you do get, there's a real kind of heart to this film and a lot of warmth, just the way, much like, again, the original Mary Poppins. That being said, I would say maybe the major down point is that it's maybe a little too much Mary Poppins. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here that's just, like, oh, yeah, let's do this because they did this in the first one. Like, Jack is clearly the analog for Bert, and his light keepers are the chimney sweeps, and they have this big musical number. There are obviously a lot of musical numbers. There's the combination live-action 2D animation footage, which, don't get me wrong, looks really cool. It involves a porcelain bowl that they break, the children accidentally break, that belonged to their mother, and they're trying to get it fixed somehow. And so Mary Poppins, Jack, and the kids all go into get transported into the world of this bowl. Yeah. On top of that, you have Colin Firth taking a turn as the villainous Wilkins, the new owner of the bank. Well, Mr. Dawes Jr., Dick Van Dyke's other character from the original, the original Mary Poppins. He's old. He's taken a break. He's taken a step back from running the bank, and his nephew is the Colin Firth character of Mr. Wilkins, who's actually scheming to make sure the Banks family loses their house for some reason. Well, actually, there is a reason. I'm guessing it's the Great Depression. They call it the Great Slump instead of that. And the bank has discovered it's a little bit more lucrative to basically just repossess people when they're late on their loans than it is to, help them. And so even though the bank is still being successful, people don't really have a lot of trust in it anymore. And that's kind of a unique twist. Again, I would say another minor drawback to this is, you notice I haven't really been mentioning Jane Banks too much in this, and that's because she really doesn't have much of a character arc in this, unfortunately. Her thing is she helps out at the home because obviously the mother is no longer there, and she is a labor union organizer, and basically it's hinted that as Jack and her were growing up, Jack harbored feelings for her, but he never really acted on it, and there's basically spoilers for the end of the film, but yeah, they do sort of get together in a way, but there's no real arc to it at all. There's this kind of him saying, oh, there was that pretty girl I used to live here, but she doesn't live here anymore. And it's like, oh, wait, I remember you used to, I always waved to you when you came by to light the lamps. And that was pretty much it. And then he, of course, because she works for the people who are trying to organize labor union, he does sort of say, oh, yeah, thanks for helping, the little guy out here, and I'll be sure to spread the word about your latest rallies. And that's about it. The musical numbers are pretty good for the most part. There's one that's a little long. It's Lin-Manuel Miranda and his troop of lightkeepers instead of chimney sweeps, and they're because the kids overhear Wilkins plotting his evil plot and cause a ruckus at the bank. They storm out, and they're more focused on trying to get their house back than they are trying to get home, and they get lost in the fog. But Jack helps he sings a song about lighting the way to bring them back to where they need to be. And that song is so long, I'm not joking, I was able to excuse myself to go to the restroom, wash my hands, look up some stuff on my phone because I had an email I had to delete off there, else the little indicator light would keep blinking. And turn around and go back into the theater, and the song was still going on. So yeah. But I'd also, again, spoilers here. A big spoiler, obviously. They don't lose the house. Turns out that Jack, who's also sort of an artist, he was an artist by trade, but he's actually now a bank teller because there's just no money in being an artist, obviously. But he had apparently used the certificate of shares as a sketch pad, and so he had drawn a sketch on it, and then Georgie had actually taken it and patched up the old kite with this picture, and except it's missing one piece, so it's not the share is not considered to be complete. But it's then that Mr. Dawes Jr. pops into the office and says, "No, I've actually been paying attention to this whole thing the whole time. No, you're not playing this." He fires his nephew and says, "Nope." And he says, "Don't worry, you don't even need this certificate because your father took that tuppence that you wanted to give to the bird lady, and he invested it in this. He deposited it in this bank, and he made me swear to guard it, and it's matured, and it will more than cover the cost of your loan. So you won't have to worry about us taking your house either." And then it ends at this spring fair the next day. And there's this lady selling balloons, and it's not Julie Andrews as you would think it would be, it's Angela Lansbury, which in a way is actually funnier because obviously Angela Lansbury was in Bedknobs and Broomsticks, which is basically kind of the same plot as Mary Poppins, and that's because the two books that became Bedknobs and Broomsticks, they were merged into one. Walt Disney, when he was negotiating with Travers to get the rights to Mary Poppins and wasn't going particularly well, he said, "Well, here's these books that are kind of the same thing, so I'll buy the rights to these and just use that as a backup plan if I can't get this." So, yeah. Like I said, overall the film is greatly enjoyable. If you love Mary Poppins, you are going to love this. My complaints, Jane is kind of an underwritten and underdeveloped character, unfortunately. There's also not really a lot of conflict between Michael and Mary Poppins when she does return. It's just a little bit of because he's weighed down by his wife's death. And there is a scene where whereas he's yelling to the children, he does just kind of break down, and exactly, he basically says, I've been trying to do everything and I can't do anything, and you get this point, and it's because I miss your mother so much and I'm worried and I'm afraid I can't move on. And it's the kids who actually say it's okay to move on and remind him, because Mary Poppins reminded them earlier too, that their mother isn't really gone because they remember her, basically. And that, like I said, that's kind of a minor quibble, and like I said, it's basically the same thing as Mary Poppins. So, yeah, this is getting an A, though. Those are all very, very minor quibbles. Like I said, gets an A.
Sunday at 8, 7 Central.
Yes!
Mork's pals pitch in when his best friend passes on.
What can you say about a caterpillar?
And Stanley's mother-in-law moves in for keeps.
You're gonna have to choose between her and me.
With the Ropers. Then,
you're gonna be gone before you know it.
We're never gonna get along.
when a cop becomes a best-selling author, everything comes the hard way.
Killer.
Dennis Weaver is stoned.
Tomorrow, starting at 8, 7 Central and Mountain on ABC.
Okay, trailer time, and, well, there's nothing really new here. There's one kind of newish one, which I'll get to, but Again, we had Lego Movie 2 with the making of featurette to it. We had Ugly Dolls again. Kid Who Would Be King again. Secret Life of Pets 2 again. Dog's Journey or Dog's Way or whatever. The one about the dog that gets lost and comes back home again. Wonder Park again. This is one I've talked about a couple of times before, but this is the first time I believe this month that we've had it. We had live action Lion King, live action Dumbo, but no live action Aladdin. Actually, live action Dumbo was the last one. I feel cheated. We could have gotten all three of the live action Disney adaptations. Oh well. So yeah, obviously the next movie is going to be Aquaman. I'll be trying to see that tomorrow. Then there will be Bumblebee, which will probably be up on, well, Christmas Day in the morning. See you all then. Hey guys, is there a movie you want me to tackle? Even if it's some stinker like Baywatch or the Emoji Movie or something else? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. See how you can make that happen.